Hey everybody, it's your Professor David Britt. We have 2 weeks to go in the class, and I always tell students this. These tend to fly by for me, but it may take forever for you. Um, I'm teaching two classes in this term. I'm teaching the introductory class of writing and research, so MSOM 600. I'm teaching problem solving and critical thinking. So this video is going out to both um, classes. For those of you who've been around a while, and that will be those in a couple of you, I think in 601, you may recall I used to do a lot of videos from different locations around the world because I'm an avid traveler. But obviously, I can't fly anywhere internationally right now. So the best thing I can do is live vicariously through all of my international Starbucks mugs that I have here. And so this week, I used to do these things called What Am I Thinking About Today? And I would do the lesson recaps from different places around the world. So I am in my, we call it the flex room here in the front of the house. This is where I do most of the grading in this chair. So this week in MSOM 601, Problem Solving and Critical Thinking, the topic was about dominant structuring. And for those of you in 600, dominant structuring is simply a process of planting the flag. And so if something happens that you see, one of the tendencies that could be anti-critical thinking would be to plant the flag and stand there and not be moved on that particular topic. And this applies not only in the critical thinking class that we're teaching, but certainly in paper writing in general. Sometimes we get an idea and we want to only find out sources that support our idea, and we forget that sometimes we may be wrong, and there may be a lot of other people who are wrong on that, and so therefore we're finding sources that are supporting an incorrect assumption. Um, and so I was thinking about that as I was grading the papers this week about the challenges that we're having right now in the country as it relates to planting the flag. And so if you think about planting the flag in COVID-19, for example, there are many flags that are planted here. Um, I see as I'm going out more, I'm not one that's staying in the house, but I am very, very careful when I go out. That there's some people who are going out regardless. Science doesn't matter. I've planted the flag and said, even people are overstating this. The media's gone crazy and all the other stuff. And so, from that perspective, they've planted their flag and said, I'm just going to go out and do what I've always done. Then on the other side of the fence, we have people, and I know these people in particular living in an older community where they are staying in their house until there's a vaccine. My mental health doesn't matter. I'm just going to plant my flag, stay in my house, and lose an entire year or two of my life. And so that's the way that they've planted their flag. So they plant their flag. I shall not be moved on either one of those examples. And then, as it relates to the social unrest that's going on in the country right now, many flags have been planted here. There are some who've planted the flag and said police are the problem. We need wholesale changes, radical changes as it relates to that and that structure. And then there are others who've planted their flag and said police are being unfairly treated because of a few bad apples, and therefore my flag is planted and I shall not be moved. And the key thing that I just wanted to stress with you all today as I was thinking about it was anytime you anytime you plant a flag and say, I'm not going to be moved from that, critical thinking stops and it goes out the window, and you could be presented with obvious facts, figures, all the other stuff, and you don't care because it doesn't match the dialogue or the narrative that you are wanting to continue with. And so, for those of you in 601, you're going to remember these. There are things to do when you're feeling like you're getting ready to plant your flag. And there are four phases of, again, addressing this whole dominant structuring piece. And the first thing is is a pre-editing thing that talks about determining what is the true problem. And we've spent a lot of time in problem solving and critical thinking class about determining what the root cause is. Too often, problems that you identify are problems that are caused by the root cause of the problem. And if we focus on just solving the problems caused by the problem, then we never get to the root cause. And so the pre-editing phase of that helps to make sure that you don't plant the flag on something that's not the true issue. And after you do that, you have the second phase. It talks about identifying a promising option. And this is an evaluation period. This is where you go out and you look at and you're open to a lot of different things. And for those of you in 601, you're doing that right now. Hopefully you're looking at different research ideas for these adult students and what are some of the options that you have. Not just your preferred one, but ones that may challenge your thinking on a few things. And then the third step is to test your option. You may come up with what would be a preferred option for you and just say, it's my preferred option, so therefore that's what I'm going to go with, and not test it. That's really unfortunate. If you come up with that, don't test it and just take it because it was my idea, therefore it doesn't matter if it's true or not true. It's what I'm going to roll with. So you honestly look at the strengths and weaknesses of that option. You eliminate bias as you go forward in doing that. And then finally, if you go through, this is a lot of work, by the way. After you go through all that, then you structure the option, which means that you don't second guess what you've gone through. You implement it, you develop a plan to pull that together. And so I just want to encourage you all today as you're looking at the issues with COVID, as you're looking at the issues with social unrest and those things, ask yourself, have I planted a flag? Have I looked at the different options? Have I pre-edited certain things and determined whether or not it's a true issue or not? Have I tested those options? And be honest with yourself. I know I find that every day. It's too easy reading somebody else's opinion and then taking that as fact going forward. So that's what I'm thinking about today. Just thought I would share that with you. And let's have a great final 2 weeks of the term. All right, take care.